There was a point not too long ago when Elias Pettersson looked like the answer to everything the Vancouver Canucks had been waiting for. A young, electric forward who could score from anywhere, drive play at both ends of the ice, and make a rebuilding team feel like it finally had its franchise cornerstone. Petey was dominant, the kind of player you build a contender around. But somewhere along the way, things changed. That smooth, confident playmaker has turned into a shadow of the 100-point star he once was. He looks hesitant, slower, almost unsure of himself on the ice, and the timing couldn't be any worse. Just after signing one of the largest contracts in NHL history, Pettersson has hit a slump that raises a terrifying question. Did the Vancouver Canucks just lock themselves into the most expensive mistake in the entire league? Because when your star forward slips up, it doesn't just hurt his own numbers, it drags the entire franchise down with him. The Canucks were riding a wave of a rising core, but now their most important player looks like he's holding them back. But to truly understand why this slump is so shocking, we have to go back to the beginning. In the 2017 NHL draft, the Vancouver Canucks took a swing on a skinny Swedish forward with the 5th overall pick, Elias Pettersson. At the time, some wondered if the Canucks had reached too high, but within a year, all those doubts were gone. He signed his ELC on May 25th, 2018, and then just a few months later, he made his NHL debut on October 3rd against the Calgary Flames. It didn't take long for Pettersson to show that the hype was real, scoring his first career goal and adding an assist in a 5-2 win.
So Pettersson, here's Elias Pettersson, and shoots, scores his first goal in the NHL!
One game in, and Vancouver fans already had their new star. Of course, his rookie season had its bumps. Just 5 games into his career, Pettersson was leveled by Florida's Mike Matheson on a pretty dangerous hit that left him with a head injury and sidelined him for 6 games. But when he returned, he wasted no time proving that he was different. A 2-goal night against Minnesota, Rookie of the Month in both October and December, Player of the Week honors, everything that a rookie could do, he was doing. By January, Pettersson was named an All-Star, and that same night he recorded his first career hat trick, including the overtime game winner against Ottawa. He finished the year with 66 points in 71 games and took home the Calder Trophy as the league's Rookie of the Year. From the draft to the end of his rookie season, Pettersson went from a risky pick to one of the most exciting young stars in the NHL, making it clear that Vancouver's future was going to be built around him. And he didn't slow down after his Calder-winning rookie season. In fact, he got even better. Early in the 2019-2020 campaign, he developed instant chemistry with Brock Besser and new acquisition JT Miller, giving Vancouver one of the most dangerous top lines in the league. His blend of finesse and raw skill made him look like a complete package, and through 68 games, he had already tied his rookie point total of 66, this time in 3 fewer games. Then the season hit a pause. On March 12, 2020, the NHL shut down due to COVID, cutting off what looked like a career year for Petey. But when play resumed in the bubble, Pettersson wasted no time proving he could elevate his game under the brightest lights. In his first taste of playoff action, Pettersson put up 7 goals and 11 assists for 18 points in 17 games, tied for the team lead and the 8th highest playoff run in Canucks history. Through it all, Pettersson looked like a superstar in the making, a player who not only drove Vancouver's offense, but also proved he could perform when it mattered most. For a fan base desperate for a true franchise cornerstone, the bubble was the moment Elias Pettersson officially arrived. And just when it seemed like Elias Pettersson was on a steady climb to stardom, his career hit its first real roadblock. In 2021, an injury sidelined him for the majority of the season, stalling his momentum and leaving the Canucks without their best playmaker. And despite the lost year, Vancouver doubled down on their belief in Pettersson's future. That offseason, he signed a 3-year, $22 million contract, a deal that came with serious expectations. Fans and management alike wanted to see him bounce back and prove he was still the centerpiece of the franchise. And in 2022, Pettersson did exactly that. Returning to full health, he posted a career-high 32 goals and 68 points, showing flashes of the elite scorer and play driver that had put him on the map. It wasn't just a rebound season, it was a statement that Pettersson could overcome adversity and still deliver like a true top-line star. After battling through injuries and proving he could bounce back, Elias Pettersson reached an entirely new level in 2023. In what became a true breakout campaign, he shattered his previous career highs, finishing with 39 goals, 63 assists, and 102 points in 80 games. Statistically, Pettersson was dominant in almost every category. He led the Canucks in points, even strength goals, even strength points, overtime goals, game winners, and shots. His 39 goals tied Andrei Kuzmenko for the team lead, and his 9 shorthanded points tied him with JT Miller for the most in the NHL. By the end of the year, his 102 points were good for 10th in the entire league. What made it pretty bittersweet, though, was the Canucks situation. Despite Pettersson's monster season, Vancouver still failed to qualify for the playoffs for their third straight season, finishing 6th in the Pacific Division. If the team had made it, Pettersson likely would have been in the conversation for the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP, and even the Selke for the best two-way forward. Still, the message was pretty clear. In just his 5th season, Elias Pettersson had gone from a promising young star to one of the most productive players in the entire league, and that continued into the next season. Through the first 62 games of the 2024 season, he racked up 75 points, once again pacing for another 100-point season. At that point, it was undeniable. The Canucks had a franchise player in their hands, and they could not afford to risk losing him. So, on March 2nd, 2024, Vancouver locked him up long-term, signing Pettersson to an 8-year, $92.8 million contract, the richest deal in team history. For Canucks fans, it felt like the ultimate commitment, the front office putting its faith in Pettersson as the centerpiece of the franchise for the rest of the decade. Pettersson himself called it a dream come true, saying he wanted to be a part of Vancouver's long-term future. With the team trending upward and their star forward secure, this future finally seemed to have some stability. At least, that's how it looked at the time. But right after signing that massive deal, Pettersson's production suddenly fell off a cliff. Over the final 20 games of the regular season, he managed just 14 points. A sharp drop-off from the pace he had set earlier in the year. When the playoffs came, things only got worse. In 13 postseason games, Pettersson scored just once and finished with 6 points. The Canucks pushed the Edmonton Oilers all the way to Game 7 in the second round, but came up short, and the reality is hard to ignore. If Pettersson had played anywhere near the level he showed in the 2020 bubble, Vancouver probably would have beaten Edmonton and advanced to the Western Conference Final, and from there, who knows? Instead, the player who was once their most dangerous postseason weapon looked invisible when it mattered most. For a franchise that had just made him the centerpiece for their future, it was a disappointing and deflating finish. And if the end of the 2024 season raised any questions, the 2025 season only made them louder. Reports surfaced of a growing rift between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, two of Vancouver's most important offensive weapons. What started out as just whispers and rumors quickly turned into a storyline that dominated headlines, with even team president Jim Rutherford admitting that the conflict was impacting the locker room. By January, the situation was unbearable, and on January 31st, 2025, the Canucks made a blockbuster move, trading JT Miller to the New York Rangers. It was a clear signal that the team had chosen Pettersson as their cornerstone, but it also left a massive hole in Vancouver's top 6. Instead of thriving with the pressure lifted, Pettersson's season only spiraled further. Nagging injuries slowed him down, and he looked far less explosive than the star who had once terrorized the league. He finished with just 45 points, his lowest output since his injury-shortened 2021 season. And with Miller traded and Pettersson playing like a shell of his former self, the Canucks' offense was flipped completely upside down. So how does a player go from a 100-point superstar to barely making an impact? A lot of it comes down to how Pettersson's game has physically changed. At his peak, Pettersson was one of the most dynamic zone entry players in the league. He could slice through the neutral zone, hit top speed, and turn controlled entries into a high-danger rush chance. But this season, that version of Pettersson was nowhere to be found. The data shows it clearly. His top speed has dropped from the 94th percentile in 2023 down to the 71st percentile in 2025. His speed bursts of over 20 miles an hour have fallen even harder, from 88th percentile to just 53rd. That loss of explosiveness has crippled his transition game. And it's the same story in the numbers for entries and rush shots. In 2023, Pettersson averaged 15.3 controlled entries and 10.4 shots off the rush per 60 minutes. By this season, those numbers plummeted to 9.9 and 6.0. He's no longer attacking the middle of the ice with speed, he's settling for safer, lower danger chances on the perimeter. Even his shot volume has taken a step back. In 2023, he fired 257 shots on goal, 3.2 per game. This year, just 109 in 64 games, barely 1.7 a night. That's almost a 50% drop-off. The combination of injuries, declining speed, and a more hesitant playstyle has taken Pettersson from being a fast, dangerous play driver to looking like just another middle six forward. And for a player carrying a $92.8 million contract, that's a devastating hit. Despite a brutal year that left fans and analysts questioning whether he'd ever return to that form, Elias Pettersson has made it clear he isn't backing down. This summer, he made headlines with one word: revenge. When asked about the upcoming season, Pettersson said he was eager to prove himself, framing 2026 as his chance to flip the script after one of the most disappointing stretches of his entire career. Part of that revenge plan has been physical. Pettersson admitted that he felt worn down during the season, so he focused on adding muscle in the offseason. Reports from Vancouver suggest that he's come back noticeably stronger, aiming to withstand the grind of an 82-game season, stay healthy enough to avoid the nagging injuries that slowed him down last year. But revenge won't just come from his own preparation. The Canucks front office has tried to set him up for success too. New additions to the roster are expected to provide more support around him, taking some of the offensive burden off of his shoulders. The hope is that with better depth and more balance in the lineup, Pettersson won't feel like he has to force plays or carry the team entirely on his own. So what can fans realistically expect from him? The truth is, Elias Pettersson may never get back to the silky, dominant form that he showed in the bubble or during his 102-point season. The dekes, the rush chances, the game-breaking speed, those might never fully return. But with added strength, a chip on his shoulder, and what he himself has called a season of revenge, there's still hope he can carve out a path back to being a reliable star. The problem is, Vancouver didn't pay him $92.8 million to only be reliable. They paid for a franchise piece, a player to lead them through the playoffs and drag them into contention. If this version of Pettersson is all that's left, then the Canucks aren't just staring down a slump, they might be staring at the most expensive mistake in the NHL. And that's the question heading into next season. Is this the revenge tour that brings Elias Pettersson back to greatness, or the moment we realize he'll never be that player again?